few years back, I met a very, very interesting gentleman at an event called Tropical Think Tank run by Chris Ducker. Now, this new friend that I made really, really impressed me because at that time, he was already on my radar. And one of the things that really impressed me about him was the incredible consistency that he was able to apply to move towards success with his online business. He's got a very, very interesting past, which he might share a little bit in this interview today. But, that was one thing that really caught my attention. And there were a couple of things as well that I thought was really amazing about this individual. Not only did he have this consistency to apply towards his business, but he also had a couple of other ingredients. A great attitude and a sense of realness that was difficult to see at the time back then. And we're going to dig into that a little bit as well. So my guest today is none other than the amazing John Lee Dumas. And if you want to find out a bit more about him before we get into this interview, have a look at his site at eofire.com. At Fire Nation, you'll learn a lot about John there and what he's been up to. But today we're going to be talking about how he got to success, and in particular also a book that he's just releasing very soon at the time of this recording, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. So we're going to be talking a bit about that. If you want to check that out already, that's at uncommonsuccessbook.com. You can also grab it from Amazon. So we'll talk a bit about that a little bit later. But I'm really, really excited to be sharing with you today what John has been up to and how he got to his incredible level of success in just a few short years. John, welcome to the call. I'm really delighted to have you here.
What's up, Gideon? Thank you for that unbelievably pleasant introduction. And it's crazy that it was 8 years ago that we first crossed paths in the Philippines. And I got to be honest, man, you look fantastic. You've aged really well.
So you mean I've aged? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, but really well.
Really well. Hey, thank you. Well, same to you. And I think it's something perhaps we both share there's a certain energy that I think we tap into as entrepreneurs that keep us young. And I think that's something that's really important, and it's definitely shining through in your work. And I think that's been something that's been so attractive for both me and all your many other hundreds of thousands or millions of followers around the world. I want to start this interview, John, with a quote from your book. And let me just bring it up on my screen here, and because it's something that really caught me, and I want to share this with everybody. So as you can see here is the prologue of John's new book. And I want to just read this first bit here. It says, "You've been lied to. In fact, we've all been lied to. The reason? Most people don't want you to know one simple fact. Uncommon success is achievable, and the path is a common one." Now that really struck me because, I've been an entrepreneur now for 14 years, and very much that resonates with me. There's always been these silver bullets that people would advertise, or these magic bullets, or these magic cures, or formulas, or whatever it is, to give you this amazing shortcut to overnight success. But I haven't found that. I haven't never found overnight success or this magic bullet. It's always been some common sort of thing that you would never really think. You'd think, surely it can't be this simple, or surely, I can't just do this simple thing over and over and then become successful. But every single time I look back, it's always been something like that. So do you want to tell me a bit more about that? Like, how have people been lied to in the past when it comes to, success in the online business world?
Listen, the reality is there are people that want you to think success is hidden, that it's secret, that only certain people have the key to success, and that they'll be able to unlock it for you for the price of $1,997 and 97 cents, of course. And the reality is Gideon has experienced that. I've experienced that. It's not true. The path to uncommon success is not an easy one. It's not an easy path, but it is a common path. And I've now interviewed over the past 9+ years, over 3,000 successful entrepreneurs, 3,000 successful entrepreneurs have dropped value bombs on Entrepreneurs on Fire. I've listened to those value bombs, every single one. I've been able to distill, Gideon, truths, elements, specifically 17 fundamental principles that every single entrepreneur who's been on this path to uncommon success has trod upon. And so when I sat down in late 2019 and I started like putting together these fundamental truths, these principles, I realized there were 17 facts. There were 17 elements that we all possessed as successful entrepreneurs, blocks that we've set, checks that we've marked. And that common path is a very clear one. It's a 17-step roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. And that's where I said, I'm going to write this book. And I know a lot of us were quarantined somewhere during the year 2020. I was luckily quarantined in paradise down here in my home of Puerto Rico. So life could have been worse. But I spent that quarantine time spending the first 2 hours of every day writing this book, expounding upon every one of these 17 steps in this 17-step roadmap. And man, I learned a lot, by the way, about myself, about my business throughout that writing process. And when I finished this book, I was like, this is now something I can hand to every single person in my audience, all of Fire Nation. And I can say, this is the answer that you're asking me about right now. When you're asking me, where do I start? How do I make money? What's the content look like? What's this? How do I get traffic? How do I build a funnel? All these questions that I get a million times a week, I have the one single amazing answer to now. And that is this book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. This is now the book, the answer I can hand to them, because it's true. It is the fundamental process that people can follow to achieve their version of uncommon success. And I'm super passionate about it, as you can tell, Gideon. I'm passionate about most things that I focus on. I focus on very few things, but those few things I focus on.
Absolutely, definitely seen that about you, and I think that's been part of the reason for your success as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the 17 steps in your book for towards success. But before we dig into that a little bit more, I want to hear the backstory, John. How did you? I mean, it's one thing writing a book, but I mean, there's the whole journey of getting there, right? I mean, you've got a very, very interesting past where I think it was 33 years or something you were kind of struggling with your financial situation, and you just couldn't really figure things out. And then all of a sudden, things changed. Tell us a bit more about that. What happened there? What was the penny that dropped for you, and what happened next?
I had a great life. 18 years. The first 18 years were spent in Maine, which is a great state. The way life should be is our motto. I went to college on an Army scholarship. So from 22 to 26, I was actually an officer in the U.S. Army post-college. And it was at 26 that I got out, and I was like, okay, I'm a combat veteran. I spent 13 months in Iraq as a tank commander in charge of 4 tanks, 16 men. I've led men in battle. I've learned a lot about myself. I'm ready to rock now. And that was at 26 years old. And those next 6 years were such a disappointment. I tried law school. I dropped out. Corporate finance, I quit. Commercial real estate, residential real estate. I tried all these different careers. Nothing clicked. Nothing stuck. And then at 32 years old, so you were very close, Gideon, not 33, but 32, I was reading a book one day, and this quote jumped off the page. It literally virtually smacked me in the face. And it was an Albert Einstein quote: try not to become a person of success, but rather a person of value. And it hit me in the face because I was like, wow, I've just been chasing success these past 6 years and coming up short and coming up empty, in fact. What if I actually provided value? Because am I actually providing value right now? And I looked in the mirror and I said, no, you're not providing any value to this world whatsoever. You can't name one thing you're providing value to or in. And so that's when I committed to myself in that moment. I said, the next thing I do, I'm going to provide free, valuable, and consistent content. I don't know what that thing is. I don't know what it's going to be, but the next thing, it's going to be that. And over the next few months, I just was exploring, reading, educating myself. And that's when this light bulb idea moment came in my mind to launch the first daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs on fire. That was the aha moment. That was the idea of how I could, for the first time in my life, provide free, valuable, consistent content, period, with no real clue about where that was going to lead. Now, luckily, it led to a 7-figure business for the past 8 years and building this media empire. But it just made me such a believer in that truth of Albert Einstein of don't be a person of success, be a person of value. Like that's where it all starts. And that's really the mantra that's guided me ever since that day, Gideon. And I've never, ever slowed down on that mentality of what am I doing today, tomorrow, next week, next month to become a person of value. And this book is that next step. This book is my gift to the world. This book is my just offering of, hey, here you go. This is the common path to uncommon success that I've identified and trod upon, that over 3,000 successful entrepreneurs have done and helped me create. This is the answer. Let me give this to you. And by give this to you, I mean, listen, books are such a cheat code. You're getting 10 years of distilled knowledge and advice, not just from myself, but also from the 3,000 entrepreneurs I've interviewed into this one 273-page book. And man, am I excited about it.
Well, I can't wait to fully read the book. I started reading it when you sent it first, but I haven't been able to get through the whole thing just yet. I've been very busy, but I'd love to
Hey, I love
finish
work.
reading
I don't want you to read it overnight. Come on.
Exactly. There's something I want to unpack a little bit here when you mentioned that quote from Einstein, do not try to become a person of success, but try to become a person of value, which I think relates to my next question as well, which is, what is it that people are really searching for? What is it that people are trying to achieve in their lives? Because when you look at this quote, it's so interesting because I think there's a lot of unhappiness that we create for ourselves as human beings when we pursue something that we might never be able to get, which is this thing called success. And it's so funny. The more we chase after it, the less we feel like we get it. That seems to be, or certainly seemed to be the case for me. Like the more I tried to search for the success or trying to get success, the less I was getting it, or less I felt like I was getting it. And it was this infinite search that I'd never be able to feel like I would really get there, And I think similar to you, when I realized, hang on, it's not about me trying to get success for myself. It's about figuring out this value game. What is it that other people want? What is it that I can provide them in their lives? But tell me a bit there. Where do people go wrong there? Like, what are people searching for? And are they searching for the right thing? And is there maybe a better way?
They're not searching for the right thing. That is the situation in over 99% of cases. I mean, this is a very simple path. Now, again, it's not an easy path. It takes a lot of hard work, but it is a simple path. And this is where people go wrong. They don't even start at step one, which is identifying their big idea. You need to be living in your zone of genius, your zone of fire. You need to be waking up and executing upon and within your big idea every single day. And the vast, vast majority of human beings are not doing that. And so without that correct foundation, you never have a chance to achieve true financial freedom and fulfillment. True financial freedom and true fulfillment. You don't have a chance. You just don't have a chance. So that's why I have step one, chapter one is identifying your big idea. I take you exactly through how to do it, why you need to do it, how to find your zone of fire, and then how to start executing within that zone of fire. Then I tell you my story about how I did all of those things, how I executed upon my zone of fire, and give you that real world perspective. And then I sat down and I said, of all the entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, who best exemplifies this? Who best exemplifies having a big idea and going all in on it? And I dragged in Hal Elrod from The Miracle Morning, and he gives his perspective on coming up with The Miracle Morning, and how he blew that up into millions of books sold and an empire and changing the lives of so many people. And I did that for every single chapter. What is the step? My experience implementation of this step, and then another amazing entrepreneur who had a great experience with that. Some people who we both know, who, by the way, were at Tropical Think Tank back in 2014. I got Pat Flynn for one of these chapters. I have Amy Porterfield. I have Russell Brunson, Ramit Sethi, Jeff Walker. I mean, just top of the top entrepreneurs for each specific step, sharing their zone of genius, their zone of fire, taking you along the way. But to sum up your specific question, that's where people fail. they are not living in their zone of fire. They're not waking up every day, working and executing within that zone of fire. They instead, maybe yesterday, maybe last week, maybe last year, they found somebody who was doing something and was having some success. And they're like, well, I'll just be a weak, pale imitation of that person. And you're never going to get where you need to be in the world to uncommon success following that path.
Now, one thing that I mentioned in the introduction is your incredible drive for consistency. I don't think I've met anyone who's been as consistent as you. That's really something that's been an inspiration to me to also be more consistent, because I think that's one of the keys to success. But I'm wondering, I'm very, very curious, what is it that drives you, John? What is it that drives you for being consistent like that and for wanting to provide this value? Have you thought about that? What's the deeper level there? What is it that's driving you towards all this?
Well, I'll get to the deeper level in a second, but the one level above that deeper level is step 3 in this process, creating your avatar. I know with absolute certainty everything there is to know about my perfect listener. I crafted this perfect listener. I created him, and then I committed to serving that perfect listener as well as I could. And guess what? My perfect listener needs a daily podcast of an interview with a successful entrepreneur every single day. So that's what it takes. A consistent daily podcast waiting for him when he wakes up in the morning, about to drive to his crappy job that he doesn't like. That was why I'm so consistent, because it's a commitment to my avatar. And maybe your avatar, needs 3 pieces of content per week, or needs X or Y or Z. Maybe they just need 1 piece of software that you're creating. Like, it's a whole, you can map it out for whatever it is that you're doing. We're not just talking about podcasting here. We're not just talking about, X or Y or Z. We're talking about all the things, but you have to know your perfect listener, viewer, customer, client, consumer of your content, whatever that person is. You have to know them. And so I know my listener so well. They want, they need, and they deserve the 7-day-a-week consistent podcast. That's why I gave it to them. The deeper level that you asked for is the ripple effects. I live by this code of just knowing that right now, because my podcast is listened to in over 145 countries every single day. I love just knowing that right now, somebody in some country I've never even heard of is listening to this podcast right now, is getting some inspiration from maybe the multiple times I've had Gideon on my show, by the way, and Gideon is dropping value bombs, and this person's being inspired. And now they're going off and they're going to do something that they otherwise would not have done because of this inspiration, knowledge, and value they've gotten from the episode. And now they're going to start inspiring other people because they're living in their zone of fire and they're doing that. That ripple effect to me carries forth, because now that person is inspiring others who are now starting their thing, who are inspiring others. And it's this 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th degree of separation that I love in this world that we live in. I'm passionate about it.
So we're getting towards the end of this call, John, and it's just been amazing. At the moment, you're sort of gearing up towards your launch of the Common Path to Uncommon Success. Do you want to share a little bit with our listeners and viewers what's happening with that, and what this is all about? Are there some special things people can get? Give us a bit more information about your launch coming up.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I do not take that lightly, because this is a passion project of mine, as I've been kind of sharing throughout the interview. I mean, this is, to me, the book that I had to write. And I honestly don't think and know if there's another book in me. And I'm totally good with that. Like, I'm just not going to write a book for writing a book's sake. Like, I'm writing this book because I am passionate to get this message, this 17-step revolutionary roadmap out to the world. That's the goal. So I want to make this a no-brainer for people. I want to make this an absolute no-brainer. Right now, until March 23rd, we are in pre-order phase, and pre-orders are everything for a book launch. So we're going all out to get everybody to take action now and pre-order this book. So we have 5 insane bonuses. In fact, if you want, Gideon, you can share the screen that you were sharing and kind of scroll down a little bit, and the 5 bonuses are actually listed out there. One of them that I'll share is I've created 3 amazing journals over the years: the Freedom Journal, the Podcast Journal, and the Mastery Journal. I'm shipping to your door if you live in the United States, to your door, all 3 of my journals. So I'm literally losing money on every pre-order, but that's not the point. Like, I need this to be a no-brainer for people to get in their hands to change their own life. If you're outside the US, which I know a lot of people are in your audience, you're getting immediate access to all 3 of the journals digital packs, which are beautifully done. They're amazing. Plus, there's 4 other amazing bonuses that Gideon pulled up there. A lost content episode, and Ask Me Anything, video interviews that I did with each one of the 17 contributors that are awesome. I actually just recorded the 15th of the 17th today, and they're coming out so well. And you get all of those just as bonuses for pre-ordering a $17 book. I mean, it's insane the value that you get with one single pre-order. And of course, I would love if people are like, hey, I'm going to get one for a friend, a family, a loved one, maybe a couple of people in my masterminds. Give the gift of financial freedom and fulfillment. You can see all the Gideon seeing right there on that page. uncommonsuccessbook.com. It's there. And man, I just love talking with you today, Gideon, and always love catching up. And I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Yes, so if you are interested in finding out more about that book, it's uncommonsuccessbook.com. Please check it out. There's a bit more information there for you. And yes, John was saying, it's all about the pre-orders for launching a book. But not only that, I mean, sure, we're giving John a bit of a helping hand here, but I think if there's anybody in the world who deserves getting a bestseller or something like that in the world, it really is John. If you look at his history and how many people he has personally inspired in the world, entrepreneurs, people who've been struggling, people who've been able to get out of financial trouble and getting them back on their feet. And, especially during times like today, I mean, we need inspiration more than anything else. And especially in the entrepreneur community, this is a pathway for you to help you towards that success. So go on over to uncommonsuccessbook.com, check it out. Get yourself a copy, get your friends a copy. John, I want to finish with one last thing. If I know it's hard, I mean, you've got 17 steps for your roadmap, but if there was one thing or one thought or one idea that you could leave people with that would help them on their path to success, the biggest one, what would it be?
They're all big. They're all important. But I understand what you're saying here. And I think in the gist of this interview, like from what I've already shared, I'll take you to step number 2, which is unbelievably important. And so few people get it right. You come up with your big idea. You're super fired up. You're living in your zone of fire. And you're like, I have my big idea. I'm ready to go. I got a newsflash for you. In a lot of cases, your big idea is a great idea. Therefore, other people are doing it. Other people have thought of it before. You're not the first person to think of this great big idea, and that's okay. But now just don't go and throw yourself into the shark-infested waters and be battling with everybody that's already been there, done that, and they have a great reputation. They're massive competition. What you need to do instead is find that big idea, like that step 1 is, which I show you how, and then step 2, chapter 2. Is discover the niche within that big idea. Discover the void in that big idea that's not being filled. Exploit something in that big idea that's not being served and become the best at that thing. And I teach you how to niche down one time and maybe even a second, third, and fourth time if you need to, all the way down till I call niching till it hurts, until you can look around and say, wow, I'm within my zone of fire here because this is my big idea. I've niched down within it. I am the best solution to this one single problem in this big idea. That's where you'll start to gain traction. And then you follow the remainder of the 15 steps following, and you will get to financial freedom and fulfillment, period.
Value bombs like crazy. If you want more value bombs like that, please head on over to uncommonsuccessbook.com. Get yourself a copy, get your family a copy, get your friends a copy, get your colleagues and employees a copy. Definitely worth your while. John, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for all those amazing value bombs you've dropped during this call today. Great to see you again, and I wish you all the best for the launch.
Thanks, brother. Much appreciated.